Just when you think it was over, it ain't over. We just starting something new. Here we go. You have reached the I'm Dealing With broadcast. I'm Shon, your host, as we'll be talking about many topics that men deal with on a daily basis. Fasten your seatbelt. Hold on. Let's get into it. I'm Shon, your host. Welcome to another I'm Dealing With broadcast. We'll be talking about a bunch of different things today. Matter of fact, many of you know that even on last week, Friday, ended up leaving out of here to go to Texas. And it was a long travel. Okay. So to say I was up like 36 hours. So a total of 12 hours. I woke up at 6 a.m. thinking we're going to leave early. Didn't leave till 6 p.m. So that's 12 hours right there. And then the rest of it was driving. I mean, we drove straight through, other than stopping and get gas. I mean, we didn't stop and go to sleep or nothing. I tell you what, by the time I got there, it was lights out. I mean, boop, lights out. It was like a one hitter quitter, right? So yeah, I tried to stay awake even an hour and I couldn't even do it. And on top of that, the plan was to even podcast out there, but we were so tired because we were getting on the flight the next morning to head back. So, but needless to say, something great happened. Something great really happened in the midst of all our conversation and networking and talking to a few friends of ours that are out there in that area. One of my subscribers sent me some new equipment. I mean, oh my God, I'm feel like a little kid in a candy store. So I'm going to try and post a picture on this new piece of equipment, and it's the Zoom L8 Live Track. Oh my God, I love this thing. I love this thing. And then on top of that, I decided to level up a little bit. And as you can see, the new microphones, I got one here, and then one here. And I won't tell you what they are. I won't tell you what they are. You might be able to see the logo. Okay, you'll have to zoom in, but you might be able to see the logo. But I decided to do something a little bit different. I know a lot of people are going with the road and a couple other different things, but I decided to go a different way. But needless to say, that's not what you're here for, right? You're not here about the tech. You want to hear about the talk. All right, so let's go. So needless to say, men, we have a lot of things that we go through, right? You know, especially when you think to yourself that you pretty much almost have a plan for your life, especially those of you that are older, in your 40s, maybe late 30s, 40s, 50s, and you think you have a plan for your life. You think you've already plotted out your 401k, you've plotted out your, if you want to call it your life insurance or what you plan on doing, retirement, maybe where you plan on living, the car you're driving or not. Maybe you're leasing, maybe you decide to buy an older car, pay cash. And you think you've got it all covered, and then something wipes you out. So let's talk about some of the things that wipe us out as men. And I think one of the things that I know for sure that wipes us out is relationships. Relationships. Because you can have money, you can have a retirement plan, you can have a bunch of different things. But one of the things that will take feet off of under you is relationships, not just a love relationships, but maybe relationships with your friends, relationships with your parents, your mom, your dad, sister, brother. Those relationships. Let's start there first. Those relationships. And you think you've got it. And then all of a sudden, there's some he said, she said, some negativity, or there's some backbiting, or there's a disagreement. So I'll use this scenario. Let's say, for instance, you've made a plan for your life. Whatever that plan is, only you can speak for what that plan is, but you've made a plan for your life. Maybe moving to a different area, a different location, different home, maybe a different region, maybe moving out of the country or out of the city, out of the state. And then next thing you know, it seems as though people with opinions come out the woodwork complaining or questioning now your decision. Oh man, it's amazing how people can question your decisions and they want to be in your decision making process. but you're never asked to be in their decision making process. And a lot of times, truth be told, a lot of us don't want to be in everybody's decision making process, right? Because we want to have our own individuality, I'm sure. So and it's just kind of one of those things that each one of us has to deal with in our decision making process, because again, it's a big thing that we all have to go through, and it's tough because when somebody has an opinion, it then draws animosity. It brings in sometimes it's hatred, sometimes it's envy, sometimes it's strife, and these relationships, especially if they're relationships you really care about, and then all of a sudden it goes south. Those things can take you out and just go, man, I planned on, still having these long relationships from afar, or the overseas relationships, and it changes. Now, let's also talk about your love relationships, your significant other. You have a plan for your life, and now you've got your significant other, whether through separation, you got issues with that, maybe divorce, maybe you have a disagreement about finances, maybe you have a disagreement about now your children are leaving, they're older, or maybe you're rearing your children and there's disagreements there. I mean, how do you handle that when you as a man, let's just say you as a man, you're trying to, you think you've got it covered, but then there's a curveball that's thrown at you with these relationships, with your love life. Okay, we'll just call it your love life. And your love life throws your curveball. How do you handle that? Do we retreat and go into a hole? Do we attack it head on? Do we try to have the conversation? Do we try to fix and go through the process of making things better? Or do we run? Do we hide? Do we tuck our tail? Do we be quiet? I mean, how do you men handle these negative things when they happen? Because one of the things you can't do is just be silent. That's the one thing, especially if we're talking about your significant other. So men, if you're dealing with your significant other, I don't care if it's your girlfriend or your wife, you cannot just be quiet, because that's the last thing a woman wants, is a man to be silent when she's trying to get answers. So you have to be able to attack some of those things head on and be able to talk about them, because if you don't talk about them, it's going to be a problem. You have to be able to talk about these things. And though we don't always like the situation, we don't always like the topic of discussion, especially when it comes down to finances. Oh man, we don't like it, right, man? We don't like it, because the only time we want to talk about finances is when we're buying that next dirt bike, that Harley, that fat tail, right? Or that super bike, or maybe it's that Jeep that we're wanting, or we're lifting up that off-road vehicle, or we're trying to get those new shoes on that new car that we're trying to get, right? And we don't even have those conversations, because a lot of times we just sneak the rims and we just sneak the springs and we sneak the car up in the garage, right? And then we have the conversation after it's already said and done. Come on, that's what we do, right? And a lot of times even doing things like that cause animosity. Those things cause problems. Those things cause headaches. Those things cause dissension in the ranks. I mean, that's just what it is. It causes dissension in the ranks, which is called lack of trust. And then it's hard to get that trust back when trust has been broken, when you decide not to go about having these tough conversations, because conversations are not always going to be easy. It's not going to be always be about, hey, who wants to go to the beach? It's not going to be about, what sandals should I buy, or what Nike should I get? Or it's not going to be about that. Honey, I like you in this bathing suit to fit your body better. It's not going to always be that. Sometimes you're going to have these tough conversations, and you have to be able to own up. You have to be able to man up, put your big boy pants on, and come to the table and be ready to discuss it. Because if the shoe is on the other foot, yeah, let's talk about that. If the shoe was on the other foot and you wanted answers, how would you feel if your significant other decided to tuck tail and run away? How would you feel if she decided to be quiet? Something that mattered to you, all of a sudden She didn't think it was so important to her. How would you feel about that? And maybe that's what you're going through right now. And a lot of times we get back what we put out. That's the truth of the matter. We get back what we put out. They say, the laws of sowing and reaping, right? If you sow good seed, you'll reap good seed. That's just what it is. If you sow an orange seed, you're going to reap oranges. But you can't sow oranges and, reap apples. It's not going to work. You can't sow crap. Yeah, I said it. You can't sow crap and then reap grapes. Okay? And remember, the seed that you put in the ground, it's one seed. Good, bad, or indifferent. The seed you put in the ground is one seed, meaning when that thing springs up, you're not going to get just one branch. It's many branches. And off these many branches are many leaves. And off these many leaves and branches are fruit. The question is, what kind of fruit, men, are you sowing? What kind of seeds are you sowing? Are you sowing good stuff or are you sowing bad stuff? Because you reap back more than what you put in. So think about that when you're having these conversations. Think about this when you're going through your life struggles. Think about this in your relationships with your parents, your significant others, with your children, with your coworkers. You also want to make sure that you're a man of integrity of everything that you do. And, it's tough when you're trying to do what's right, but sometimes maybe you're at a job that they almost want you to do wrong to make it seem like it's right, to make them look good. That comes back. It comes back. And sometimes you have to choose. You have to choose. Are you going to be a part of the team or you're going to have to create your own team? And sometimes not being a part of the team is what makes you who you are. You can't always accept everything they throw at you. I know this firsthand because there's been plenty of times where I was a part of the team, but then I wasn't a part of the team. Meaning, I was with a group of people who ran a company, but then because I was different or chose not to do some of the things, all of a sudden I'm a part of the team, but I'm not with the team. You understand what I'm saying? Because they put you in a category. Oh, he's not part of us. He's not. Well, I tell you what, those guys got fired. It's true. It's true. I think it was like 5 of them. Okay, because it was a bad situation, and you have to choose. Trying to be a man of integrity everywhere you go. You have to try to choose to be the person that is just genuinely good. You try to do what's right in every aspect of you try to. No, you're not going to be perfect. We know that. But at least you strive for excellence because that's what I want to focus on. Excellence. It's not about perfection. It's about excellence, okay? So a lot of times when you're going through these things and you got things laid out, you have relationships that take you out, both at home, over the phone, through social media, in the workplace. Some of these things take you out. Another thing that takes you out is right now, as you know, the COVID thing. Many people on furloughs. Many people have been laid off. You had a plan, but then this happened. What do you do when this happens? What do you turn to when this happens? A lot of people, they go through what is called depression, anxiety. They go through, I'm not good enough to have that. Maybe I'm not good enough. I'm not fit. Maybe I can't make it. Maybe I can't go on. Maybe I can't move forward. And they go through these ideas, these thoughts, and thinking that they're not good enough. They're not worth it when they go through this. Especially when you're out there trying to look for another job. Let's just say, you're not getting the responses that you should, or the response you're getting is, thanks, but no thanks, that type of deal. Maybe you're getting those type of responses and you're trying to figure out how to feed yourself, how to feed your family, how to feed your significant others. Or maybe you are one of those who are out here from another country and then you've always been used to sending money back home to your family, wherever that is. And now you can't do it. Because if you do that, then you're homeless. And then you're trying to keep right now from being homeless. How do you do what you do? It's tough. It is really tough. And I'm here to let you know you're worth it. You're not just some average Joe. You're not somebody who should be given up, because there's a whole lot of things that's inside of you right now that's been put down there, that's been buried. You have all these giftings and things that have been put down inside of you that you should be harnessing and grabbing onto. Yes, I'm talking to you right now. You should be harnessing those things and trying to find out these giftings. And inside these giftings, you will find that when you really harness them and put them to work, guess what? You're no longer looking for a job. You've just created a job. You've just created revenue. You've just created substance. You just created longevity. You just created something that no one thought was even in there. But mind you, you must understand that when you start creating, when you start doing better, when you start harnessing some of the different things and going against the grain while everybody else is swimming upstream, you're going downstream. When everybody else is going one way and you're going somewhere else, there's always going to be somebody who's going to talk about your process and won't like it. And you know what? Let them go ahead and talk. Let them talk, because guess what? Eventually, like right now, you are looking for a job and you can't find one, but then you go and create one. Guess what? The same one that's been talking about you negatively is going to ask you for a job. You see how that works? Snap, snap, chop, chop. It's going to work for your good. All things work together for good. Okay? You know where I'm going with that, right? All things work together for good to them that love God, to them that are the called according to his purpose. It's going to work out. Even when you don't think it's going to work out, it's going to work out. Even when you think doors are closed, they're going to open. Even when you think things that the garage door is closed, they talk about that, he'll open up the window. And just when you think certain things are closed, and just when you think it's time to give up, and you're still grinding, you're still putting your hand to the plow, and you're still waking up the next morning with an encouragement look on your face, and you're still waiting in expectation, I'm here to let you know something is going to happen. But in order for it to happen, you've got to do something. Don't worry if you've created a life that you think was going to pan out and all of a sudden it's not panning out as it should. It's a process. Life has a way of dishing all kind of curveballs. It has a way of pitching you sliders. It has a way of throwing fastballs. And then we as a people have a way of striking out. Sometimes we end up getting walked. Sometimes we end up sliding to the base. Or sometimes we're called out. It's just what it is. It's what life is. Life is not easy. But it's not how it happens to you. It's what you do with it. How do you respond to the negativity? How do you respond? But right now, I'm here to talk to you right now, young man, young woman. If you're a woman, listen to this broadcast, and you've got a man, some type of man in your life. I'm here to let you know you can pray for that man, you can encourage that man, but you need to stand up. Every man needs to stand up. Encourage yourself. Go to that window, go to that mirror, and encourage yourself that I shall not give up. I shall not give in. I shall not throw in the towel. I will not tap out. I will not raise the white flag. I shall survive. I will get through this. This is just a season of my life. Right now, if you're under the sound of my voice, I pray succession upon your life, thanksgiving and happiness upon you right now in the name of Jesus. I ask right now an encouragement thought to everyone listening and watching this broadcast, that you would just endue them with power, with encouragement, endue them with your spirit, that you would just lift them up right now in your name, that you would encourage them to not give up, give out, and throw in the towel, that there are more than a conqueror to them that love you. I ask you right now to be blessed. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm Shon, your host. Take care and wait for another broadcast from I'm Dealing With.